All right, I'd like to call the June meeting in Lafayette City Council to order. Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Heidi, Clinker, Reynolds.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Ollismeyer. Williamson.
Here.
Downing.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Quorum present, apparently.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes from May 5 of 2014. Mr. Campbell.
I move those minutes be approved as communicated.
Downing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Are there any corrections or comments by council? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Under presentation and disposal of claims, we do have one matter for consideration that was discussed at the caucus for consideration to consider adding Resolution 2014-07 to the agenda. It was filed past our normal deadline, and the request was made to for the council to consider suspending the rules in order to allow us to consider it tonight's meeting. Is there... Downing.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded then to suspend the rules to allow Resolution 2014-07 to be considered under the regular business of the council, and that would fall when we take up resolutions later on. Any discussion about that on the motion? Any comments from the public on the motion for suspension of the rules in order to consider Resolution 2014-07? Seeing none,
You could do, it's got to be unanimous, so if there's any nay, it won't work, but yeah.
We'll just do a voice vote on that. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries, the rules have been suspended, and Resolution 2014-07 will be added onto the agenda and be considered later on down where we have resolutions. Reports of city officers.
Clerk's office, April. Fleet maintenance, April. Waterworks, April. Water pollution control, April. Police, April monthly and 2013 annual report.
Thank you, and as a reminder to folks in the audience, those reports are on file with the city clerk's office and are available for your review during regular business hours. We'll move now to ordinances for second reading. Ordinance 2014-08.
An ordinance established a 3 feet safe passing distance between motor vehicles and bicycles.
What's the pleasure of the council? Mr. Campbell.
Mr. President, I move for passage of ordinance 2014-8 on second and final reading.
And Mr. Reynolds.
A second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to consider ordinance 2014-08. Is there someone want to speak? Yeah, Margie.
Margie Deverell at the Redevelopment Department. Since the last council meeting, I haven't had anyone call with any concerns or questions about the ordinance. The only contact I have had is a few of the people who were here that night to support it. When I saw them, just thanked us for considering it.
Okay. Any questions of Margie from council members on this ordinance? Okay. Thank you. Any comments from council? Any comments from members of the public on this ordinance regarding the safe passage lane for bicycles? None. No final comments by council members. We'll have a roll call vote.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Williamson. Aye. Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 5-0.
Thank you. The ordinance is passed. Ordinances for first reading, 2014-11.
In order to vacate an alleyway in the city of Lafayette, Indiana, Eric Coleman petitioner, western bounding of 928 Holloway.
And what's the pleasure of the council? Mr. Campbell.
Mr. President, I move for passage of ordinance 2014-11 on first reading.
Second.
Is there anyone here to speak for the petitioner? Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kurt Laker. I'm an attorney with Doyle Legal Corporation. I do represent Mr. Eric Coleman, who's the petitioner. Just want to thank the council for hearing the petition. the ordinance is to vacate an alley. The area that we're vacating is an unimproved grassy area that lies just west of my client's real estate and the real estate of his neighbors to the south. It would add very little value to their existing properties. All of the neighbors there have fences on the real estate. Some of them have sheds or other structures, and so that's the purpose of our petition. Just thank the council for its time.
I thank you. Are there any questions of Mr. Laker?
None of Mr. Laker, but I have some comments.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you. Thank you.
I move that, well, I can't move it. I would, I would enter this opposition. These folks have had fences and or structures on city property for quite some time. And I think that the city should be compensated for that particular property. And I asked what we did. Mr. Chosnick, if I'm not mistaken, obtained somebody to evaluate that particular land and assessment of it, and then to present that to the attorney for these folks and have some compensation for that land and its use. Make a motion if that's necessary. Or I would...
Need a motion for that?
Well, I think that, I think that's been communicated to you. I don't know if there's have any response to that, if there was a market analysis obtained, if there...
Apologize. I saw that coming, and I should have mentioned it up here. But we did, at the council's request, ask a local real estate agent to take a look at the property and give an estimate as to what the value was. She looked at it herself, over the internet. She can go out there and inspect it, but looked at the aerial photography, talked with a couple of appraisers, and her suggestion was that it would add basically a value of about $100 extra to each lot. And so that was the figure that we were provided, and I can submit her assessment to the council. It's essentially just an email to me following our discussion. Her name is Kim Beezer. She's a realtor with Century 21 here in Lafayette. And so that would be my response to the comments made, and would represent on behalf of Mr. Coleman that we're willing to provide the $400 for all of the owners that this would affect. So if the ordinance were to pass with that stipulation, then we would agree to make that compensation payment.
Okay. Thank you.
Amend that ordinance?
Pardon?
Can we amend that ordinance then?
I mean, you can make the motion to approve the ordinance on the first reading, condition upon a payment to the city of the $400, if that's an acceptable amount to the council members. I mean, I'd like to actually have that email, or the last time we had a letter that had the market analysis, to be able to have it put in the clerk's file, so there is support for the city receiving those dollars.
And I can provide a copy, Mr. Chosnick, if you'd like. A copy I have with me.
So yes, if that's acceptable to the council members, you need to make that a condition of this vacation ordinance, and it has to be set for public hearing for next month, and it'll have to be approved at the second reading. So if
What would you be most comfortable with? Providing that letter right now, or us passing this on the basis that we're going to pass it next time if you get the money in your hand?
In the letter.
What would be best?
Yeah, I think since we have to have a public hearing, and you'll see what input there is, maybe, there might be some objection. So I would say that you could go ahead and pass it, condition upon payment of the $400 and the receipt of the letter showing the market analysis being $400, and then at the second reading of the ordinance and after the public hearing, hopefully I'll have the letter and the check.
Yes, sir.
So I think, who made the motion to consider passing this? You did. If you would just consider amending it to make it conditional upon the receipt of the market analysis and the receipt of the $400, then I think that will
I'd make that
follow
motion.
that procedurally.
I'll second that,
Reynolds
yes.
second it. Okay. So the motion on right now then is to amend the ordinance to make it conditional upon the $400 and the market analysis. Any discussion on that motion?
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
On number 9 of the ordinance, it says, pursuant to resolution number 97-14, the petitioner is not required to pay compensation to the city of Lafayette in connection with the vacation of the alley. That's in the ordinance.
Yeah. That's in the ordinance he's filed, but
Right.
Campbell's moved to amend that to
Okay, so
require
that
the
will
400.
take,
Yeah.
write that out. Okay, that's just what I wanted to make sure of.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Want to comment on the amendment that we just spoke about?
No.
Okay. Is there any public discussion on the amendment that's on the table right now, which is to amend the ordinance, making it conditional upon this payment? Let's have a roll call vote then on the amendments.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downey?
Aye.
Amended ordinance passes.
Amendment passes.
Or amended,
All right.
sorry.
Now we need to consider the ordinance as a whole as amended. Are there any other comments by council? Any comments from members of the public on the ordinance as a whole? All right. Have a roll call vote then on the amendment.
Amended ordinance.
Yes.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downey?
Aye.
Amended ordinance passes 5-0.
Thank you. I'll need a motion to set this for public hearing for July 7th at 7:01. Ms. Weasley.
So moved.
Mr. Downey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that matter then will be set for public hearing next month at 7:01 on July 7th, and then also for second and final hearing at that time. All right. Ordinance 2014-12.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana, to rezone certain real estate from PDRS to R2, Timberstone Development, LLC, 14.42 acres, an expired portion of Crosser Commons, PD.
What's the pleasure of the council, Mr. Reynolds?
I move for passage of ordinance 2014-12.
Mr. Campbell.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to consider ordinance 2014-12. Mr. Teeter.
Okay.
I can put it in the file.
Good evening, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Dan Teeter, attorney with Riley, Teeter, and Schreier, represent the petitioner. John Schuman's present this evening. He'd be happy to respond to any questions or comments that you might have. As you've indicated, we're requesting rezone to R2. It's a 14-acre tract. It's on the east side of Powderhouse Lane. That's in Lafayette. We received a favorable staff recommendation. We received a 10 yes vote from the Area Planning Commission for approval of this rezoning request as well. Petitioner purchased or acquired this property in a trade with the city in 2004, and then shortly thereafter rezoned it from R1 and I3 to PDRS. This council approved that for 82 single-family homes with an entrance on Powderhouse Lane. Thereafter, then in 2010, the first phase of this was done, which was 8 lots. There was one house on it at that time. That one house still remains. Petitioner is also working with Habitat to build some lower income type housing on those 8 lots, or some of those lots at this time. That hasn't been accomplished yet, but that is in the works. Then in 2011, petitioner donated 6.1 acres, which is on my beautiful drawing that I handed out to you, to the Parks Department. And I think they're working on that. They're using that partially for the trail as well. Then in February of this year, the remaining portion of the PD fell into abandonment. At this time, the PD has really no zone with it. It's out there. It has to be rezoned in order for something to be done to the site. The PD project consisted of 82 single-family 3- and 4-bedroom homes. They were on 50-foot wide lots. They were meant for first-time homeowners. As you're aware, the financing market has changed. It's very difficult for first-time homeowners, and as a result, that type of plan development or that type of development cannot really occur very successfully today. That's why we're here. Petitioner intends to build a one-lot, one-owner subdivision, R2, consisting of 55-foot wide lots. They are going to be 1- and 2-bedrooms. So if you look at the PD, that was 3- and 4-bedroom density. This is a 1- or 2-bedroom density. So the bedroom density will be substantially less than what it was under the plan development. The unit density, in my opinion, is going to be about the same. Mr. Schuman is going to be the owner of this entire project as well. The entrance will not be on Powderhouse Lane for this project. That was one of the concerns at area plan. It will be on Breckenridge. That will be the only ingress and egress to this site. This project is going to be similar to Hawthorne Villas. That's something that you passed before. Hawthorne Villas is on the east side. It is a one-lot, one-owner R2 development. Again, it's owned by Mr. Schuman. That's been very successful. I think the city is very pleased with that development as well. If you look at the handout, the first page, I think, is self-explanatory. I just wanted to show you where the site was on the GIS, showing you where the R2 would be, where the park outlet is, and then I show a little access, which is on Breckenridge. That would be, again, the access to the site. If you go to the second page, that was the plat that we did for Crosser Commons. Again, that can't be accomplished at this time, but I wanted to show you that because it did show an access that you approved on Powderhouse Lane. That will no longer be there. There will be a new plat drawn up. That plat will then show a cul-de-sac there within the subdivision, so the only access will come off of Breckenridge. Then if you go to the third page, that's really the zoning map for the area that shows our site. It's PDRS, which is not quite right, but it's close. To the north is the railroad tracks. To the northwest is I-3, and that's the concrete plant, and that's waste management. To the east is GB. To the south is basically R3. To the southwest is R3 as well. There's probably 4 or 5 smaller apartment complexes, all very nice. They're stone, they're brick. My understanding is that they're full at this time. Nice developments that they've done there. Directly to the west is an R1, which is the small single-family subdivision that exists in that area. You'll also note on the bottom left of that sheet is area showing R1. We rezoned that in recent years to R3. That just has not been developed yet at this particular point. I think there's a lot of diversity in here, and I think we're adding to that diversity, which I think is a good thing. I think it's also a reasonable request that we have as a result of that. So at the area plan, the neighbors had 3 concerns. One was density, and I think I've shown you that the bedroom count is substantially less than what it would have been in the plan development. The unit count is about the same, so I think we've answered the density question. The entrance was a concern. They didn't want people to come on Powderhouse from Walker Lane to this site. They thought that would add to the additional traffic that is already there. I went out there a number of times. I didn't see a great deal of traffic, but we honored their concerns. So as a result, we've moved the entrance to Breckenridge, so that will be the only ingress, the only egress for this. The third thing they brought up, and I just wanted to tell the council this and so they could hear it as well, they were concerned as to they're going to have to pay for water and sewer out there. Will we have to pay? Yes, we will. There's a utility service agreement in place for water and sewer. The petitioner would have to pay the city for that water and sewer to come to the site. We could also add drainage, which I think was a question of Mr. Campbell as well. We can add that to the utility service agreement as well. That can be handled through the subdivision process, which is the normal case. That would be done in this case as well. I also talked to the Lafayette Engineers Office. We spoke with the Lafayette Parks Department. They have no objections to our request. we would ask for your approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Mr. Teeter,
Yes.
just so that I'm clear, the number of lots you said originally, the original PD had, was it 80?
82 lots.
And now this is going to be, how many
Well, we
lots?
haven't designed it yet, but under the PD, we did 50-foot wide lots. Under the R2, we have to do 55-foot wide lots. We have 1 and 2 bedrooms in the R2. There was 3 and 4 bedrooms in the single family. So the bedroom count is substantially lower. I'm saying that the unit count will be very similar to what it was just because of the 55-foot lots. I don't think we can get any maximum. You couldn't get any more units on there, I don't think, than what's there under the planned development. But we haven't drawn that out, so I'm just giving you that analysis. I think it's very close as to what that density would be for units.
The lots are a little wider,
Yes.
but the number of units, so that in terms of the density, the number of units are the same, but you're saying population would be less because...
I think the population would be left just because instead of 3 and 4 bedrooms, we're only going to have 1 and 2 bedrooms, which I think makes a significant difference when you talk about 80-type units. That's over 100, 100 beds in there. Mr. Campbell.
This issue of water and sewage, please.
I don't know if somebody's any back there. My understanding, we have a utility service agreement in place for water and sewer. We can add drainage to that. It's premature at this time, but there is a per acre cost to do that. I don't know the total per acre cost, but I'm going to guess it's somewhere between $7,000 to $12,000 to $15,000 an acre to be able to have the city bring that in under that utility service agreement. But those things would all take place under the subdivision when we came back. We'd have to go through all those hoops in order to develop the site.
Homeowners with regard to water and sewage.
Well, they just brought up that we're going to have to pay, as Mr. Schuman going to have to pay. So I'm letting everybody know that we definitely have to pay.
And that's the law, that you must have water and sewage.
Well, I don't know necessarily that's the law, but yes, we would definitely have water and sewer. Yes. Yes. Right.
Exactly, but I mean, is it a law that says you must have water and sewage supplied by the city if it's within the city?
Within a certain...
You cannot use a septic tank?
Yeah, within a certain...
Use a well?
Within annexed areas. Have we answered your question, Mr. Campbell?
I know.
And if you don't have water and sewer, then you're having a unit on a much larger tract in order to get the septic to work on that, which
impact the homeowners. We're saying then that they have to have city water and sewage.
And we will have city water and sewer. Yes. Okay. Any other questions that anybody might have? Kenny, did that satisfy your concerns as well? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from council before I open it up to the public? You'll have an opportunity. Any members from the audience wish to address this issue? When you come before us, please give us your name and address for our record. Thank you.
Michael Spalding, 2200 Powderhouse Lane.
Spalding?
Spalding.
Okay, thank you.
Our house is directly across the street. We're on the corner of Powderhouse and Walker. Right on the corner. Right directly across the street from what would have been the entrance to this project. And trust me, on certain times of the week, the reason why we was opposed to it, Powderhouse and Walker is like the Dan Ryan in Chicago. We don't need any more traffic, and they don't slow down anyway when they go around that corner. The street sign in my yard has been knocked over twice, and it's up off the curb. But if I understood this right, I have a perfectly good well and septic. That if they put this across the road from me, am I going to have to work? Because you was out there.
It'll be available.
Yeah, there's a thing right there beside my house right now.
If you choose to, you could hook up.
I don't want to. I don't need that extra bill. But where is Breckenridge at? Is that right next to? Is that?
Here's Elston.
Is that right?
It's right here.
Oh, okay. I know where it is. That's right where it used to be a trailer sit there. Is that correct?
I don't know if a trailer set there or not.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Okay. That was my questions about. So it's not going to come in. That's a good thing.
Thank you, Mr. Colley. Any other comments from members of the audience?
My name is Brian Kramer, and I live on the 10 Walker Court. A lot of the issues we had have been addressed, and I do thank you for addressing those issues. The big issue, I guess, left then is pertaining to the water and sewage. When we were annexed, it was quite an ordeal for them to get everything run. In fact, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you came out to my house, and we had at the time Opal Kuhl and the city engineer who was working on this project. And we asked about the cost of the sewage and the water hookup. We were given a figure at the time of $12,300, and I've heard some of the neighbors say it's as high as $16,000 to $17,000. That's just the tap fee, not counting the labor. For most of us, that's a tremendous expense. And we appreciate we're not being forced to hook up, but the fact of the matter is wells and septic systems go bad. The one in our house is 50 years old. And a lot of what we had was grandfathered in. We didn't have to make any improvements, but if they go out, we were told we might not be able to put a new well or septic system in. So all of us in the neighborhood eventually are going to be faced with this cost. When they came in, we were told that we were going to pay the same cost as the developer. That was under the original 82-unit plan. That has changed. But we never did find out exactly what that figure was. Mr. Schuman gets to come in and build, and that's good. He's going to make the money when he builds. The city's going to get the revenue from the taxes on the units that he builds. We have some Habitat for Humanity houses have already broken ground for, and I'm just rather skeptical that someone who's going to live in a house, Habitat for Humanity, could even afford something that expensive. That's a tremendous burden. If he's going to build adjacent to our neighborhood, that's a better alternative, I guess, to housing than the industrial or anything else that could be put up there. But we would just like to make sure that since we're paying taxes for the city, we've been paying for several years, we would like the same access to city services, sewer and water, at the same cost that he's going to get. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, sir.
Glenn Greason. I live at 2 Walker Court, which is the opposite of the last gentleman who was up here.
Sorry, I didn't get your first name.
Glenn Greason.
Glenn, thank you.
I had Tony out there. Water was about that deep. You remember it? Running across that, down through that lots there, out towards. Yeah.
Down towards the basin.
And that's one of my concerns, and they didn't know anything about that last week at all. I told them about it. And we were out there and saw it. Apparently the county had done something about taking care of that. When they put Powerhouse in, they must have messed that drainage tile up they had going for the county. Now the water runs over the road into the nice sewer system we got. That is a problem. And the other thing is, I hate riding a dead horse here, but the Habitat used to own the corner of Powder House and Walker Lane. Used to be the old Swayze edition. According to Habitat, the man told me that they traded those lots for 2 lots in this new subdivision. Why they did it is because it's going to cost them $20,000 a lot to put those. That's including fees and then hookup. And he said they could do it over on those new lots for $2,500. Now, that's what I'd like to have explained to me, how you could do that. Well, he said that's what Mr. Schuman told us.
Mr. Teeter?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just talked to Jenny, and she assures me that whatever the cost is for water and sewer that Mr. Schuman has to pay is the same cost that everybody else pays. So there's no difference. It's uniform throughout.
I brought that question up, and I don't know about this flooding that was occurring, but it seemed to me when I went out and looked at the property that the land gave way toward the town. But I would assume that anybody subdivision approvals or address that fact.
Yeah, very
there's not
definitely.
going to be any
We
water.
can't build unless we have drainage approval, period. So that's why there's a utility service agreement in effect for the drainage as well. And like I said, that would be taken care of in the subdivision process.
But wait a minute, sir. I'll give you a chance after everyone else has had a chance to speak. Did you want to? Why don't you come and address at the podium so we're doing it in an orderly manner? Thank you.
One differentiation is going to be that in this 82-lot subdivision, we will have to install all of the sewer and water lines at a cost of probably $500,000. So, whereas the city has installed the lines in front of these, they paid for all that infrastructure, so we're paying for access to the system, but we're installing sewer mains, water mains ourselves, as you would in any subdivision. So we have to pay that cost of $500,000 or $600,000, whatever that is. So the fee to tap into that is going to be whatever the sewer service agreement is. So unlike where the lines have been run down these other streets, we will have to pay for that cost inside the subdivision. So to say it's $2,500 is a misnomer, because the cost of installing the pipes plus the access fee is probably going to be $10,000 or $12,000 a lot. That's normal. That's what it would normally be. So what we normally pay the city for in any subdivision is access to the city mains, where we install all the mains ourselves. So that fee it varies anywhere from $500 a lot to $5,000 a lot, just depending on where. I think Jenny could tell you there are areas around the city and the county where the city's installed this, and there's different area fees for, depending on what the city's investment has been in the infrastructure there. So I guess I just want to make sure I clarify that. So our cost to do that is going to be well up into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, because we have to install all the mains ourselves. So where all they have to do is install a service, which we'll do as well when we connect to the line. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Mr. Schuman. Any other comments from folks? Come on back up, Mr. Priest. I meant she's... You can come on up here because you haven't had a chance to speak yet. Go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alpha Spalding. I live at 2200 Powderhouse Lane, and I just wanted to make sure that, okay, so what you're saying now is a change from when we were at the county building, Breckenridge area, not from... And put up trees. That's where that driveway is already there, I hope. Going to block that off if you're going to make that a cul-de-sac, and just go ahead and then close it to the cul-de-sac.
We've got to redo the sign.
Well, trust me, if there's any way that anybody can really try to get through there, they will. Because they even rolled big boulders off of there to get through there after the city put up boulders in there. To do what they can, if there's an access that looks like it's an access. Okay, and secondly, you definitely are going to do only single family dwellings, not the duplexes that was talked about in the other meeting.
The 8 existing lots on Powder House are safe.
That one more time?
There are 8 platted lots.
Got others that you're putting on Powder House?
Balance of development is going to be done, but they're not. Not built on yet. They're not part of this.
There are lots of.
Are you,
He owns that. That's owned as well by the same plans to put single-family homes there.
There's 8 lots that are going to be there.
So then what you're talking about in the big area, though, what was said at the last meeting was that it was going to be single-family dwellings and duplexes, which then multiplies your people.
All right, well,
That is
let's
what
not
the
get
other
into let's not get into
said.
debate here.
So,
Just
that was
make
what
your
the other
comment,
gentleman
and I'll
said,
have
so.
the-
Well, I was
Okay.
concerned about that factor because of multiplication of people when
Sure.
you've got duplexes, and that's usually at least 2-bedroom places on each side. So you're multiplying, even with that. And it's as many as they're saying to put in there, they're going to be on top of one another anyway. So, that's all. That's my concern, is I don't like to live on top of somebody. I don't want somebody else living on top of me. I lived once before in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I could open my window and reach out and touch a house next to me. I don't want to be that way again. So, just not my thing. And I am, though, hoping that the figure as to what you're saying about the hooking up with the well and septic stuff here is just as the gentleman presented to you. That there's no way that any of the people in that housing area can even afford to do what has been suggested that we'd have to do. And then we're not going to be permitted to replace our well and septic if it would go. And they all been working perfectly fine. So.
I ask you a question. How much would it cost to put in a well and a septic right now?
How much did it cost us last time?
A well and a septic.
Mm-hmm. We just had this done just a few years ago on another area.
This is my wife.
Okay.
Our septic system is in the back lot, and it took up the back half of our lot when we had to have it put in. Done that in
About 94.
I guess my question was,
it was like,
to attach to the city, to attach to the city is going to, if it went out again, attach to the city is going to cost you X amount of dollars, say $10,000. So if you, but I mean $10,000. So if you put in a well and a septic, how much would that cost you? So the difference would be, maybe if this cost you $6,000, then actually to hook into the city, basically it cost you $4,000. That's what I was trying to figure out in my head.
if you had to put it in,
Less money, that's less money. That'd be great.
if you had to put everything in from scratch, you might have a good argument there.
Yeah.
But
Not you.
when they put the sewer and water in neighborhood, they had equipment all over my leach bed, and I called the mayor's office, and the city paid for somebody to check my leach bed because it was just time, and it's been working fine since. So I don't know how long the septic system lasts, but that's been there since 92 or 3 of them. Had to have a new pump put in the well, but our well, we've never been even close to running out of water, so.
Okay. Yeah, it does.
I do have one other question for this gentleman. Part of what's on Powder House Lane, is that also the opposite corner of us? Section would be dead end. So that's the, what direction is it? south, north, south, east, west? What direction is that corner?
North and south.
Going north on Powder House?
Yes.
Then that would be the northwest corner. Where right now what it is name that used to be that house. The 2-story, it's a greenhouse. Started with an S. What was their name? The people that used to that had Swayze, yes. The old Swayze place. And did used to have 3 little rental houses there that got torn out. Okay? Now that house has been sitting there vacant for many, many years now. Is that part of this 8 that you're talking about?
No.
Okay. It's my understanding, though, since that last meeting, that the gentleman who actually is the owner of all that property that you're talking about developing has bought that in February. Oh, okay.
I love Habitat. I do that. Subdivide.
That's what got traded.
Yeah, in essence, I financed around then when it couldn't be done.
Ever going to do anything with that house? Because it's been sitting there
Well, I
vacant
think we're getting a
forever.
little off topic here. We're getting a little off topic. Let's try to stick with this request for the subdivision, okay?
Well,
And you can have this discussion with Mr. Schuman afterwards.
seeing as how he's owning it all, it'd be nice if he'd get that taken care of, too.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir, in the back, do you want to make one more comment? Why don't you come to the mic so we can hear you, please?
Why you have a drainage problem in that particular area is when they dug out 9th Street to lay a pond there, that's where all that dirt come from that on this lot we're talking about for the new subdivision. But there was an existing house there where the drainage problem is now, where the Habitat houses are going. And if they don't put that Habitat house up on blocks pretty high, they're going to have problems. And the other thing, the entrance to this subdivision is off of Elston Road, where there used to be a trailer sitting there, right? And what is it? 1/8 of a mile back there to that subdivision? What part is it? Are you going to mow the grass?
There's a gated public right of way there today.
Yeah, but there was a trailer there. Are you going to mow the grass?
Well, whoever was mowing, mowed everything else at that lot.
Well, you ain't mowed that.
They're supposed to.
You haven't mowed that 14 acres since 2004. Twice, maybe. You mowed it once, and Cindy mowed it once. Trees 18 foot high in there. That's all.
Thank you.
I would just answer any other questions that you might have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kramer, this is probably the last time. Go ahead.
On the figures he's talking, when I gave you the figure that we were given, $12,300, that also was not including labor. That was just the tap fee. And if he's going to be tapping 80 new homes, 80 hookups, that's $987,000. That's just a tap fee. And I just want to make sure that, that's what he's saying. He's going to have to pay for the tap, because that's what...
No.
Work out between college.
Okay, I guess that was just, we just need to understand what's going on, you know, in regards to how this is all going to work out.
Jenny Leschny, city engineer. Crosser Commons was part of the plan when this whole area, water and sewer utilities, were extended to this entire area. And it was always planned to serve these 22 acres less the 6 that he donated to the Parks Department. For that 22 acres, the cost recovery fees in total are $162,000. Now that is a per acre charge. So if somebody has an acre lot, a 3/4 acre lot, outside of that 22 acres, they have their contributing share too. So the per acre cost for everyone in that utility service area for us to extend utilities, it applies to equally to everybody per acre. But his total is $162,000 for cost recovery fees. Plus then he's installing all the sewer lines.
Thank you. Any questions of the city engineer? All right. Thank you for your clarification. Any other comments from members of the public? Any comments from council?
I would add that traditionally I have been against apartment buildings. And I don't look at this as an apartment building. I went out and examined the lots out near Shenandoah, what do you call that area? Hawthorne. Okay. And they're very well kept. And I think we've got a situation where this Mr. Schuman is going to maintain those lots. I was interested in a question about mowing. And I think the folks should go out and examine that particular area and see how well kept it is. So although I've been in opposition in the past, I think this is a different animal, and I'm going to support this particular.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Any other comments from council? Mr. Clinker.
Is there still the option, if someone taps in, to have that, the water part of it included in their water bill and financed over? The sewer part is not, okay.
Yeah, 15 or so, yeah.
So that option would be available here as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, we'll have a roll call vote on the ordinance.
Blinker,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Williamson,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. The ordinance is passed.
Public hearing. No, thank you.
All right, ordinance 2014-13.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana, to rezone certain real estate from I-3 to GB, W.K. Baldwin, 3465 South Street.
Mr. Brown.
Mr. President, I move that we hear and approve ordinance 2014-13, first reading.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to consider 2014-13. Mr. Teeter.
Thank you again. Dan Teeter, represent the petitioner, requesting rezone to GB for this 1.2 acre tract. It's on the south side of South Street, which was State Road 26. We received a favorable staff recommendation. We received a unanimous area plan vote on this as well. The surrounding zoning for this site is all pretty much general business. There are 2 properties to the east that are still zoned I-3. However, the uses for those 2 properties are commercial in nature, and I would anticipate that those will turn to general business as well. The only large I-3 tract in the area is Caterpillar, and as you're all aware, a large portion of that was changed to commercial for the Lafayette Pavilions. So everything going up and down 26, pretty much except for Caterpillar, is general business. On Farabee, a lot of the lots have been rezoned to general business. In fact, a number of My client's lots have also been rezoned to that. He's improved, really fixed those places up. They're presently rented or for rent. And what we see out there is most of the larger I-3 is moving away. The smaller I-3 is being converted to GB. We would respectfully request your approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Questions from council? Thank you, Mr. Teeter. Any comments from general public on ordinance 2014-13 to amend the zoning? And any final comments or thoughts by council? A roll call vote.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. The ordinance is passed. Moving on to ordinance 2014-14.
An ordinance amends zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana to rezone certain real estate from I-3 to GB. The Bruce Schaefer family, LP-2-12 acres at 91 North 36th Street.
Pleasure of the council.
I move for passage of ordinance 2014-14 on first and final reading.
Downing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to consider 2014-14. Mr. Teeter again.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, Dan Teeter represents petitioner. I believe Nancy Stacy is. Doug Anderson is here for Nancy. He was the realtor involved with this for her. We're requesting rezone to GB. We've received a favorable staff recommendation. Again, a unanimous recommendation from Area Planning Commission for it. The site to the west of us is a veterinary clinic. It's zone GB. To the east of us is the bank. It's zone GB. Next to that's Target, and all down the line again is general business. What we plan on doing, this is an overall 3-acre site. 2 acres is what we're requesting to rezone. The top 1.5 acres will remain I-3. It's got a long-term renter in there for industrial uses, and we think that's appropriate, so there'll be a buffer yard between the two. We have 2 buildings on our site. One of them was recently damaged by fire. That's going to be raised, and then we're going to make the site ready for more of a commercial nature. We anticipate that we may have a restaurant coming in there in the future. Again, what I said on the Baldwin property I think is true here. That entire area seems to be all going to general business. I think it's appropriate. We would request your approval. Thank you.
Glad to hear about the possibility of another restaurant. We don't have enough out there.
Not a burger doodle. There's something different.
Can you explain that? I'm not sure we've ever had a situation where it's been divided, where you're going to have one zoning and
well,
roughly 1/3 of the property.
Yeah, we could do that, but without going into a subdivision. But we intend to do a subdivision to meter off the bottom 2 acres, have the remaining 1.5 acres to the north remain I-3. The reason we cut it off there is that's really the northern end of the veterinary clinic, so it kind of northern end of the bank, so it kind of flows pretty well with the zoning lines. But we plan on coming back to do the subdivision as well, because I think it makes sense to make the I-3 totally separate. Okay? Any other questions? Thank you.
Any comments from council? Any comments from members of the audience on this ordinance 2014-14? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. The ordinance is passed. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution 2014-07.
A resolution to approve the Lafayette Housing Consortium Home Program and the City of Lafayette Community Development Block Grant Action Plan for 2014.
What's the pleasure of the council, Mr. Brown?
I move to keep we hear and approve resolution 2014-07.
Mr. Clinker.
Second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to consider resolution 2014-07. Ms. Jacobs.
Amy Jacobson, Community Development Director. I have before you the resolution that I bring before you every year for the Community Development Block Grant and Home Funds that the City of Lafayette and the Lafayette Housing Consortium receive from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. For the program year 2014, which begins July 1st, 2014, the allocation of home funds is $714,055. And we also are reprogramming $405,992 from previous years of unspent funds. So the total home funds available is $1,120,047. And the 2014 allocation of community development block grant funds is $614,759. We had two public hearings in April to consider the CDBG funds. The Lafayette Housing Consortium also met twice in April and approved the action plan that is attached to the resolution for the home funds. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Mr. Campbell?
I have one. Why was this so late? I mean,
I apologize. I missed the deadline. I had it all ready to go, and I was just working on a few other things at the same time, and I missed the 2 o'clock deadline.
But I think in the future it'd be very.
I will.
Any other questions or comments, council?
Okay, thank you.
Any comments from members of the public on this resolution? None. We'll have a roll call vote.
Blinker,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Williamson,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. All right. Reports of standing committees. I don't believe we have any outstanding there. Reports of special committees. I don't think there are any. Report by the mayor. Anything by the mayor. Miscellaneous and new business. We have under this category the 2014 compliance of statements of benefits for tax abatements. This is the time every year that the council reviews all the outstanding tax abatements to determine whether companies are in compliance with their original tax abatement requests. I understand that these were already approved or reviewed, however, by the Redevelopment Commission, which is the standard process. Then once they review it, it comes to the City Council for final review. And we're going to have to take these one at a time, which is our custom, and we'll probably be doing it on roll call, a voice vote at the time. But Mr. Carson, you have some initial comments?
Yes, Dennis Carson, Economic Development Director for the city. As you said, President Meyer, these have all been reviewed by the Redevelopment Commission individually, and they were all passed unanimously for approval with the City Council. There were 3 companies that did have some challenges in meeting their pledges this year. They provided letters to the Council and also the Redevelopment Commission, and attended the Redevelopment Commission and explained their circumstances, and those folks and representatives are here tonight as well. So I will start with the first one on your list, which is Castle Coke, which is a real estate abatement granted in 2009. And I just want to quickly preface this one. This was one that we've been working with this company over the years. We had encouraged them to build a spec warehouse in Lafayette because at the time, back in 2008, we were really desperate for some this type of property for economic development purposes. And unfortunately, the real estate market and the economy turned south, and this particular warehouse had been vacant for some time and had a lot of difficulties in meeting their pledges. We're very glad to say now that they have completely filled that warehouse and they have exceeded their goals and pledges for this. So this was found in substantial compliance, and that's the recommendation for the council from the Redevelopment Commission.
All right, and this is Castle
Coke.
Castle Coke. Is there a motion to find that there is substantial compliance?
Are we going to have a number? How are we going to?
It depends on Castle Coke. There's only one abatement, so I think we just do them by name. But when we get down to SIA, we can identify those by the year granted.
Any comments or discussions on this particular abatement? All in favor to show that they're in substantial compliance, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Coleman Cable, is that the next one?
Next one is Coleman Cable, personal property abatement. They have been found in compliance by the Redevelopment Commission. They have met the goals.
questions, anyone on Coleman Cable? Mr. Campbell?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to continue the Coleman Cable abatement. Any comments by members of the public? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Federated Publications.
Yes, this was granted in 2004. Actually originated in the county, and then we annexed the area, so now it comes to the city council. This one, their pledges were made on their real estate abatement and their pledges for job creation.
Speak up a little louder.
Sure.
I'm sorry, what was the last end, because I stopped you? Is the microphone up on?
Think so.
Okay.
This was a real estate abatement, again, granted in 2004. They met their investment totals and their job pledges for job creation.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a motion by the council? Mr. Clinker?
Second.
That, I presume, is a motion to find that they're in substantial compliance.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, this is Federated Publications.
Any comments from members of the public on that one? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That's passed. Next one.
Next is Heartland Automotive, which is a real estate abatement. They met their pledges and their investment, and they're in substantial compliance with their employment.
Campbell?
So moved.
Second. Brown, moved and seconded to find they're in substantial compliance. Any comments by public? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. Okay.
Next is Historic Jeff Center, which was an affordable housing for seniors. They met their pledges in real estate and jobs as well.
Mr. Campbell?
So moved.
Ms.
Second.
And moved and seconded to find that this particular abatement is in substantial compliance. Any comments from the public? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Next is JAK Partners, doing business as Kirby Risk. This is a real estate abatement granted in 2007. They met their goals for the investment and their job creation.
Have a presentation by a representative of this.
Yes, we do. They have two abatements, so the second one is when we will do the presentation. You'll have that opportunity.
Gotta get it.
This is the 07 though is not the one that was the challenging one. It was the
Correct.
12. Okay.
They have met all their goals on
The letter
this
that
one.
was written was about the 012.
Correct.
Okay. So is there Mr. Campbell?
So moved.
Mr. Clinker?
Second.
So moving and seconded to find that the 2007 real estate abatement is in substantial compliance. Any comments from the public? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Mr. Carson.
And the second one is JAK Partners, two, doing business as Kirby Risk, and they've had some economic challenges to meet their goals, and we had Doug Mansfield here tonight that can address those.
Answer.
President Meyer, President Meyer, and ladies and gentlemen of the council. In 2012, we asked for an abatement. We had 359 employees and a payroll of $9,707,560. We said we'd add 8 employees and $196,419 to take the total payroll to $9.903 million. And in the third and fourth quarter of 2012, our main customer's mining business fell off 50%. Through attrition, our employment fell. And then as we gained new business from new customers, we tried a little bit different model because we were having a lot of churn in our employees, and we were driving payroll nuts. So we actually fell to about 304 employees, but we started bringing on temps just for a 3 to 6 month period so we could evaluate them and they could evaluate us, not a permanent basis, but before we hired them. So as of May 1st, even though we had 317 associates, we had 148 temporaries that we are evaluating to bring on full-time over a period of 3 to 6 months. Our payroll, even without the temporaries, went to 9.972, exceeding our original request or commitment on payroll. But if you include the temporaries, the 148, our payroll is over $13 million, which is a significant increase from what we agreed to or pledged when we got the commitment. As of today, we have 178 temporaries, and we're using this model to try to find full-time employees. As the unemployment rate goes down, the churn gets a little more drastic. As an example, in April we hired 100 temporaries and 44 are gone already. So what we're trying to do is evaluate them, bring them on if they like the company and we like them on a full-time basis, but we want to look at each other for a 3 to 6 month period. So I think we'll fully comply by next year. The payroll dollars already does. The numbers will be up as we bring them on as full-time Kirby Risk employees. And I'm Doug Mansfield, President of Manufacturing for Kirby Risk.
Mr. Mansfield, I just have a question because I see this, I think, in another letter that came to us, too, where another company similar as yours, they're trying that model with the bringing on the temporary employees. Right. But in the SB1, the original request for the abatement, when you say you're going to bring on the employees, I thought they're defined as full-time employees and not temporary employees. Is that right?
And they will be. They are full-time temps now. And the only thing we're trying to do is we were bringing people on to our payroll and then leaving. We had to set them up in payroll and insurance and all those things. We're trying to minimize that impact because the turnover was so great. So we're bringing them on for a 3-month trial period. Then we'll bring them on as full-time Kirby Risk employees. So the intent is to bring them on as full-time Kirby Risk employees, and the numbers will far exceed what we've committed to.
I appreciate that effort because I think when we give out these abatements and we look at them, at least in my mind, when we vote on them, the expectation is they're going to be full-time employees.
Absolutely, and that was our intent in 2012, and unfortunately things have changed a little bit for us. Mm-hmm.
One.
Yes.
So what is your retention rate for these temp to hire people?
38% currently is the turnover rate right now, unfortunately. And the bulk of that is attendance, unfortunately.
So you're keeping 38%?
No, we're keeping 62 right now. 38 continually move, but it's not exactly the same people all the time. And so that's why you see the numbers still there. As we get some stability with the temporaries, and they like the company and we like them, then we'll offer them full-time positions.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Mr. Campbell.
So moved.
Blinker.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to find that JK2 Partners 2012 real estate abatement is in substantial compliance. Is there any comments from audience? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I'll also just add, when the companies fill out these forms, if they have temporary employees, those are not listed on the form. So as Mr. Mansfield said, the 142 temporary employees he has right now are not counted with the on the form that he submitted. So those are on top of what he's already listed here. Correct. Right. But I'm just making that clarification that those employees can become full-time and permanent employees over time. If they show up, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And next we have Lifesong Properties, better known as Copper Moon Coffee. They have a real estate abatement, and they are found in compliance from the Redevelopment Commission.
Campbell.
Second.
Williamson. It's been moved and seconded to find that Lifesong Properties is in substantial compliance. Any comments from public on this one? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And Lifesong Brands also has a personal property abatement. They were found in compliance as well.
Mr. Campbell. Ms. Williams.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that this abatement continue as in substantial compliance. Any comments from the members of the public on this one? Lifesong Brands. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries.
Next is Liquid Spring, personal property abatement. They were found in compliance.
Campbell.
Second.
Williamson. Been moved and seconded to find this particular company in substantial compliance. Any comments by the public? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Oscar Winsky Company Real Estate Abatement, and they were found in compliance.
Mr. Campbell.
Hello.
Ms. Williams. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that Oscar Winsky is in substantial compliance. Any comments from the public on this abatement with Oscar Winsky? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. SIA, we have a series of these abatements.
Series
They're
of abatements
identified by
here.
the year, is that right?
Right. The first one is SIA 2000, and they were from a real estate abatement, and they were found in compliance.
I should probably abstain from this one.
All right. Mr. Campbell.
So moved.
Ms. Williams.
Seconded.
Then seconded to find the 2000 SIA abatement in substantial compliance. Any comments from the members of the audience? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Those abstaining? Aye. Mr. Klinkers abstains. We'll just show that for the record,
All
Mr.
the
Klinker
SIA.
will abstain from all the SIA voting. The next one,
Next is SIA 2006, a real estate abatement found in compliance.
Klink.
So moved.
Mr. Campbell. Ms.
Second.
Williamson. All right, thank you. It's been moved and seconded to find the 2006 abatement in substantial compliance. Any comments from the public? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, the motion carries.
Next is SIA 2007, real estate abatement found in compliance.
Campbell?
So moved.
Ms. Williamson.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to find the 2007 SIA abatement in substantial compliance. Any comments from the members of the audience? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is SIA 2009, real estate abatement found in compliance.
Campbell.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded to find the 2009 SIA abatement in compliance. Any comments from the public? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is SIA 2000, which is a personal property abatement, and they were found in compliance.
Campbell.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the public on this motion to find it in substantial compliance? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next one.
Next is SIA 2005, personal property abatement found in compliance.
Mr. Campbell.
So moved.
Ms. Williams.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to find the 2005 personal property SIA abatement in substantial compliance. Comments from the audience? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is SIA 2004, personal property abatement found in compliance.
Mr. Campbell.
So moved.
Ms. Williams.
Second.
Any comments from the public? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is SIA 2006, personal property abatement found in compliance.
So moved.
Mr. Campbell.
Second.
Ms. Williamson. I think that the audience probably now gets the idea that the motion is to find they're in substantial compliance. I'm not going to repeat myself every time. Any comments from the members of the audience on this particular abatement? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries.
Next is SIA 2007, personal property abatement found in compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the public on this particular abatement? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
SIA 2009, personal property abatement found in compliance.
Campbell.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to consider 2009 SIA abatement. Any comments from the audience? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is SIA 2011, personal property abatement found in compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded regarding the 2000 and which one are we on?
11.
SIA abatement. Any comments from the public on 2011 abatement? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2012.
Next is SIA 2012-12E, real estate abatement found in compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the public on this particular ordinance 2012 for SIA, on this particular motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is SIA 2012-12PP, and that was a personal property abatement found in compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the audience on this particular abatement? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next one.
Next is Tate and Lyle, personal property abatement, found in compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the public on Tate and Lyle tax abatement? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Toyota Motors, 2006, personal property abatement, found in compliance.
Campbell.
Second.
One comment. Toyota, we're going to have the Toyota contract too, so I need to abstain from this.
Okay, the record will show Mr. Klinker is abstaining from the 2 votes on Toyota Motors. Any comments from the public on the Toyota Motors abatement for 2006? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Toyota Motors, 2010, personal property abatement, found in compliance.
Campbell.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to consider to approve the Toyota Motors 2010 abatement. Comments from the audience? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Wabash National, 2008, a real estate abatement, found in compliance.
They have a series of 4, right?
Correct.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any comments from the members of the audience about Wabash National 2008 abatement? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This is Wabash National 2008 personal property abatement, found in compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the audience on the personal property 2008 abatement with Wabash National? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Wabash National 2011 personal property abatement, found in compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the members of the audience on personal property Wabash National 2011 abatement? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Wabash National 2012 personal property abatement, found in compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the audience on the 2012 Wabash National personal property abatement? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Next is Worldwide Coatings, LLC, 2014, a personal property abatement, found in compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the public on this abatement, Warwag Coating? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good news is we're down to the last 3, maybe?
I believe so.
All right.
Benton MGM LLC, doing business as McKinney Corp. It's a real estate abatement granted in 2005. They have had some challenges meeting their goals, and we have a representative here tonight from them that can address those.
All right.
Good evening, Council. Murph McKinney, President of McKinney Corp. We are in the last year of our abatement, and at the beginning we had employee numbers of 22 with a payroll of $673,000, to which we were to add 5 employees to raise that total to $834,000. We currently have 18 employees at $798,000, and if we include our temporary labor, that puts us at about $814,000. So our payroll numbers are almost to where we want to be, but we are short on the number of full-time positions. But just to demonstrate the volatility that we've been through since we've had this abatement in place, we've had a maximum of 33 employees and a minimum of 9 employees. So we've been to the top, fell to the bottom, and crawled our way back, and we're on the road for that. We're also getting ready to make about $250,000 capital investments, of which we will not be asking for a tax abatement for. But it's just a sign that things are in the right direction. So I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Explain how you deal with the temps as opposed to the folks at Kirby Risk.
I can certainly sympathize with what he's going through because it is the same. Absolutely the same. We have an excellent group of full-time people that work for us. We couldn't do it if it wasn't for the talent and commitment that we have from our employees. So our business model has changed since this abatement came into place. We used to be 95% motorsports, 5% commercial. Last year, we were about 60% motorsports, 40% commercial. We hope to get it to 50-50 this year. We think that'll be a good balance. And we want to do it with good quality people, to which we are rewarding them in pay, as you can see from the payroll numbers with the lower number of people.
Maybe a question for Dennis. This is the last year of their abatement, so they're paying most of the tax, like 95% of it at this point, or what? Questions?
Thank you.
Oh, didn't we give one?
No, he just...
Oh, okay.
Mr. Campbell. Second. All right. Any comments from council then on this McKinney tax abatement? Comments from the general public on this particular abatement? All in favor of the motion finding them in substantial compliance, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Okay, the last two are Ray Magnet Wire. They're both personal property abatements. First one was granted in 2003. The second one just recently in 2012. They have had some challenges meeting their pledges as well. We have a representative from the company that can provide some information.
Good evening. My name is Carol Gilbert. I'm the Human Resource Manager at Ray Magnet Wire. And what we wanted to share was in 2008, we had some downturn in our market. And what we did was we looked at all the facilities and decided where we wanted to make the investments in the future. So we closed our Las Cruces plant. And at that point, invested a lot of capital in Lafayette. Our payroll numbers are the same, and our employment numbers are about the same that they were since Eric Foster was first here. What we have done now is invested $3 million, and we'll be installing a new oven into our facility, which will be some increase in the numbers. And as far as hiring, we also use temps. It's interesting to hear the other stories that we heard tonight. But we only have 20 temps of our employees, and most of those are long-term. We'll be hiring 5 tomorrow and then 3 next week. So that is really what our story has been over the last few years. Any questions?
I have a couple. The 2003 abatement, maybe this is for Dennis. How long does that have to go? We're in 14 now, so it's 10 years or so?
Yes, that was a 10-year abatement, correct.
So is this the last year for it?
It may be. It depends on when it was started from the assessor's office. I mean, it was granted in 2003, but then, they have to do the project and such, and then the assessor makes the determination when the project starts. So we're probably close to the last year, if not the last year.
And the 2012, has that started yet? That's also personal?
I believe it has. Yeah.
Eric Foster, generally represents.
Concern with this particular one is that for 10 years you had, or roughly 10 years, I'm going to guess, you had the 2003, and the performance history has not been that great. Now you're starting out with the 2012, and the performance is not that great, and I hate to see a repeat of the history here.
And they have invested probably $2 million in the last 2 years for the one oven that they installed in 2012. And this oven that they're going to install this year, as I said, they've invested $3 million. I think that while the concern is there, I think that we've been very stable in our numbers and our payroll. I think that the asset to capital. Right now, I think that's probably the details, but I know that Eric issued a letter that may have some more details.
Yeah, he did, and I appreciate the investment, certainly. We really appreciate that investment, but when we look at these abatements, we also want to see compliance with the employment numbers that were promised, and so.
All right, a couple other comments I'll make. One, they do have it's a 10-year abatement, so they have that time span to be compliant with the abatement pledges and such. And also, we do evaluate these on many different criteria. One, it's the investment they're making. And for example, the investment they made in 2003, they actually exceeded that, almost doubled that investment from their original projections. And we also look at things like the county, the wages as well. So we judge that by the county average wage, and which is $16.05 an hour, and they are $11.43 above that. So they pay substantially more than our average wage. So these are other things that we look at when we judge substantial compliance as well.
Thank you.
The other comment that I would make is just the model that people are trying in employment, et cetera. One thing that I can say about Ray is we have no turnover. And as we have people retire, and I mean less than 1% in our full-time employees, and as people have retired, we've replaced all of those people with full-time people. So I think that, to your point, the quality of the company and what their commitment to.
Thank you.
I move the abatement be continued.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to continue the 2003 personal property Ray Magnet abatement. Any comments from the public? All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Then we are on the Ray Magnet 2012 personal property abatement. Mr. Campbell.
That be approved.
Second.
Any comments from the public on the personal property 2012 Ray Magnet abatement? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Carson. Thank you for the patience for everyone to go through those, but it's important that we go through those individually to make sure that we can tell the public that we reviewed these each individually.
Connie, you might explain that a little further. We probably acted like a pilot trained chimps here. That what was going on, why that was done.
Well, we do this every year because we have to review the abatements to see if the companies are living up to their expectations and to determine if they're in substantial compliance. Now, there is something in the law that allows us to, even if they haven't met all their goals, we can find that they're in substantial compliance if they've made a good faith effort, and if the reason maybe why they didn't meet the goals is because of economic circumstances beyond their control. So the letters and the presentations that we've heard from the folks here tonight were the ones that were questionable. They were asked to provide us information about the market, the economics that might have made it difficult for them to meet their particular goals. And so as long as the council and the redevelopment commission finds that they're in substantial compliance, they're allowed to continue with their abatement.
Good.
All right, thank you. Now, moving on to our agenda, we are now at reports of councilmen. Any public comment. This is the section of our meeting that we open to members of the public. You're invited to come and address us for up to 3 minutes with any concerns or issues you have in mind. So at that point in time, at this point, I invite anyone to come forward, please.
My name is Council President and Council members. My name is James Page. I live at 1506 Durango Street there in Lafayette. Lived there for over 40 years. Know many of the people on the council. I've been working on a parking situation with the house next door, and I've worked with the Lafayette Police Department. They've made 2, maybe 3 calls to our house. I've been working with Mrs. Councilperson Alsmeyer, and she's investigated and helped me a lot. Referred me to the Lafayette Traffic Department, and I've consulted with them. They supposedly think that there's no non-compliance with what's happening next door, but it is a enormous semi-cab that parks, and they ask them not to park it on the street. They ask them not to park it in the yard, which it was once. And now he backs it in and parks it. It's not, the driveway isn't big enough to fit the cab. And I've taken pictures of it out my front window, and I've taken pictures of it from the street. And it looks like a small house that's been built there. And he's a long hauler, and he's not there all the time, but he's there enough that my wife and I are considering downsizing to a condo. And real estate person said that if anybody ever sees that truck, there's no way they're going to consider buying your home. So I just think there needs to be something added to the parking ordinance. I don't see anything in it, except that when they talk about a trailer and height and weight, they're not mentioning anything about a semi-cab. So I've consulted all the ordinances. I've come to the clerk's office and gotten printouts and printed them off on myself on my computer at home. And this is just something summarizing this, I don't think any of you would want this. I don't think any of you would want to look out your door and see this by your house. I would empathize with you, and I hope you empathize with me. Other neighbors have said something about it, but I'm sort of the one that's the spokesman, right next door. A lot of issues with the house, but this is the main issue. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I'm not sure what takes place now.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Mr. Chazik, are you aware of any ordinance? Something like that?
I don't think so. You know, I don't. Have you
The
talked
police
to the
talked to me
neighbor?
about a number of wheels one time, and they both came into our house and reported after they talked to them. One of them said he told them this is not a long-term solution. You can't do this, but he's still doing it.
You haven't talked to your neighbor about?
Oh yes, and I've tried to talk to the owners who live in Meridian Street, mansion on Meridian Street.
So it's a rental.
Yeah, they don't care as long as they get the money. They have done nothing to the house for 20 years. And this person has just moved in the last 8 months. It's a revolving door.
Yeah.
I want you to see a picture too, Mayor. Please.
Thank you.
If there's a 10-foot, is that, obviously that truck is taller. Oh, it's his trailer? Okay.
Yeah, you can see in the wintertime he goes out and warms it up. And the fumes and the noise comes right in our home. And that's one time when we called, and they cited him on a noise concern, or they talked to him about it. And he has sort of responded every time they've come, but it's just.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any members of the audience? Public comment? Yes.
My name is Randy Anderson. I am the president of the Neighborhood Association, St. Lawrence McAllister area. I wanted to bring something to your attention. Next Monday, the Habitat for Humanity is building a house in celebration for 30 years of service to the community of Lafayette. And our association, working with them, they are building that house in 16 hours. And it's going to be something to see. Beginning about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to have an ice cream social right out in front of that build, kind of just celebrating the afternoon, getting everybody together, and everyone is available. And I'd like to invite all of you to come and man a scoop, if you would.
Yeah, you've never seen me swing a hammer. I'm not sure you want it.
I
want the ice cream.
I'll do
No, you won't be allowed in until it's done.
Okay.
Are you in need of any supervisors?
We can always do supervisors.
That's the extent of my work.
You're certainly welcome. And, in addition, on the following day, Tuesday afternoon or at noon, there's a further celebration of actually turning over the house to the new owner. Mayor will be there, and we will also have a representative from this old house and Majestic Homes, who's actually doing the build. We'd also like you to join us on that, and you can have dogs and such.
Give us which Tuesday that is?
Tuesday is at noon, and that is the turning over of the home.
Tuesday the 10th?
That is the 10th, correct. And then the 9th, starting at 4 o'clock till about 7 o'clock, is the ice cream social. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Good evening, Jenny Leshney, City Engineer. I did want to clarify, in December of 2013, you did pass some new parking ordinances, and I just happened to look that up for this gentleman, and that overnight parking for any commercial truck or commercial vehicle is prohibited between the hours of 12 midnight and 6 a.m. for a period of longer than 1 hour. And in a residential district, it is unlawful for the owner, operator, or driver of any commercial vehicle or truck with more than 2 axles, including the truck trailer of a semi-trailer, truck tractor of a semi-trailer, or for the person in charge thereof to park such vehicle or permit it to be parked or to stand upon any street or alley in a residential district for a period of time longer than 4 hours except for a moving truck. So we do have those ordinances on the books. It would be a matter of enforcement, and I'll refer that to Stanley Knight, and we'll work on that.
Driveway.
If it's
street and alley.
It doesn't include the driveway, but if it's over the city sidewalk and those types of things, we can look at that too. But definitely in the street.
If the gentleman can email me the pictures, that would help, and then I'll check and see whether, how far you can go on the actual private driveway in terms of regulation. I think that's why we focused on streets and alleys and all the public areas.
Definitely not the street.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Jenny. Anyone else from the audience? Campbell.
I hope we adjourn before Perry gets here.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you.